Well, good morning, everyone. This is Mike Dotterer, and it is morning here in North America. It might be afternoon where you are and somewhere in the world. It might be evening, but we have a great show for you. It's going to be the shortest show, I think, to date for On the Dot, and we have a very special guest, and I'm sitting right next to him. We didn't go virtual because we're in the same location and we work together. So before we get started, I want to wish happy birthday to a couple of my good friends. We like to start off with birthdays on the dot. And Mark Dunlap, who's my good friend from California. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Mark. Mark was a two-sport athlete in California, played college baseball, college football, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to Mark. Also, happy birthday to my fellow Stanford Hall of Famer, Alex Karakazov. Alex is up, I think, in Montreal and sometimes down in Florida. Alex is an amazing fella, great businessman, and one of the great offensive linemen in Stanford football history. And Kylie Wong, another Stanford great. It's his birthday today. Kylie Wong, one of the great Stanford linemen. And Ramsey Beatty. Ramsey's a great friend, son. He's the son of a teammate of mine, Greg Beatty. So happy birthday, Ramsey. And let's see. Trina Wiggins, one of the outstanding gymnasts from Stanford. And as you can see, I spent 4 years at Stanford, and that was 40 plus years ago. And I've got a lot of friends from my alma mater in Palo Alto. Happy birthday to Trina Wiggins, who is a good friend and one of the great Stanford gymnasts. And I think that's it. So now, without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend and colleague, Steve Denoo. And let me just give you a little background on Steve. Steve grew up in the great state of Wyoming, and it's a great state. I remember driving through there once and stopping in Laramie to watch the University of Wyoming Cowboys play football. And that's where my good friend Vincent White's son plays football at the University of Wyoming. Great school. And that's where Steve grew up. And then Steve entered the Navy, and he could tell you stories of meeting President Nixon on one of the ships during the Vietnam era. The stories that he has are truly amazing. His wisdom is truly something that's impacted me. And he has spent over 33 years now with General Motors and specifically Cadillac. And the reason I'm going to have him on today, we are excited. You can see this car behind us. It's called the LYRIQ. You can see this beautiful woman walking toward the LYRIQ. And it's the new electric vehicle that Cadillac's coming out with. And I'm going to just put him on to talk about why LYRIQ and what are the top 3 reasons why someone would want to buy an electric vehicle and focus on the LYRIQ. So without further ado, here's Steve Denoo. Steve, take it away.
Hello there. Thank you for having me with you. Given a lot of thought as to why we would want to go back to an electric car again. They've tried electric cars going back years and years into the early days of the auto industry, which started off basically with electric cars and with alcohol powered. And it wasn't until gasoline came along that gasoline was basically a waste product from refining oil to make kerosene, that the world changed, because here was something that they were just getting rid of, dumping it in the ocean, and it could become a marketable product. Next thing you know, the rest is history. And all the cars are powered by gasoline. The electric, though, I hear a lot of problems or questions about battery life. Battery life is not the big problem with electric cars. The big problem is computers. And until we had the development of computers that made the electric car feasible, like we do now, so I think you're going to see that the electric car is going to really take the world by storm. There's a couple of things going on also with gasoline-powered vehicles, and that is reduction in oxygen. In this country, we cut down all the trees like they have in most countries around the world. and trees make oxygen. And when you're burning fossil fuels to move our cars around, move us around from here to there, you have a tendency to reduce the amount of oxygen in the world. If the whole world had cars like we do in the United States, we would be pretty much out of it. So in the early days of the United States, as Dot probably knows, a squirrel could run from the East Coast to the West Coast and never touch the ground because there were so many trees. But we cut them all down for farming and whatever reason. In the ancient world, what they used to do was cut down the trees and tax the people on the lumber value. So they would, of course, cut down all the trees so they wouldn't pay any tax. But now we have, just fly over the United States, we don't have as many trees as we used to. Years ago, when I was taking chemistry and we were going through the oxidation reduction of hydrocarbons, they came to the conclusion that if cities would plant more trees, they could eliminate most of their air pollution. But they don't, they pave everything. And if you take a look at it today, and I always found this to be an interesting statistic, that 2% of the United States is paved. Only 2%. You think everything is paved, but it's not. Now, the other side of that coin is how much is forest land? 2%. So that kind of gives you an idea that we do have a crisis. It's not here yet, but it's looming. And moving to the electric vehicle is going to solve that. Now, people say, well, carbon footprint is greater with an electric car than it is with the standard gasoline one. Well, maybe for production. But I think you're going to find that in the overall scheme of things, it's going to be the way to go. Another question that people come up with is range. I can only drive this thing 300 miles. When was the last time you drove 300 miles before you filled up your tank? Probably never, unless you were on a trip to Florida or something. So according to GM, their studies have shown that if you get it on the highway and you drive at a constant highway speed, you get 400 miles of range. The reason that they're saying 300 miles is that's the EPA's calculation, where they put in half city miles into your highway miles, and that cuts down your overall range. And the way GM has done their LYRIQ is fast charge, so that if you're driving from here to Florida, shall we say, after a couple hundred miles, you got to go to the bathroom. So you pull off, you plug the car in, you go to the bathroom, you get a cup of coffee, you get back in the car, it's ready to go again. And you do that every couple hundred miles, and you made the trip in the same amount of time. So it's really not the big problem that the media would sometimes like it to be, because they're still invested in gasoline-powered vehicles.
Well, there you go. Well, Steve, thank you so much. Steve is an amazing person. His personality, he's a phoenix. And if you want to know what a phoenix is, just go to Zodian.com. It's INFJ in the Myers-Briggs typology, which, I mean, he's just a mentor to me. And I just want to thank you, Steve, for coming on the dot. And everyone, you can go to Steve Denoo on YouTube and subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got some great videos there, right, Steve?
Well, yes, I've borrowed a few videos and I make my own.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. He's and I'm not going to give his age or anything, but he's someone that I look to as a mentor, and he's just shared his abundance of knowledge with me, because I'm fairly new to the automotive industry. And Steve, thank you so much for coming on the dot.
Inviting me on.
Thank you so much and sharing your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you. And again, Steve Denoo, it's DENOO, and just go to YouTube and you'll find him, and you can subscribe to his channel.
Just look for the new guy.
There you go. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.